What is up, everyone? Welcome to the FAA podcast. Happy rainy Monday here in PA. But it's a great Monday because it's a victory Monday, people. We are celebrating the DC Defenders UFL Championship. I will talk about that game in a second. We also have a little bit of news, and then the Vikings and the Bears offseason recap. Also, not to disappoint, but anyone looking for Jaden Price on today's show, if you did not see, something came up. We had to move him to Thursday. So we will have Arlington Renegades defensive back Jaden Price on the show on Thursday, moving it from our normal Football Friday show. So I think I said last week that we were going to move back to Fridays this week. Not happening. We're going to go three straight Thursdays, I think it is, for the Friday show. But nonetheless, we have a great show today as well. UFL Championship game. DC Defenders 58, Michigan Panthers 34. Absolute demolition derby from the DC Defenders. And this was a masterclass. 13-6 Panthers early after Panthers scored and went up 6-0. It looked like it was going to be back and forth. DC finally gets a stop. Michigan actually got the first stop. They held DC to a field goal to make it 13-9. And then DC got a stop, right? DC continued to get stops. Then they went down, got the ball right away after they kicked the field goal because Gunnar Oaks, the tight end for Michigan, actually stripped his own player, wide receiver Xavier Malone, on the kickoff and set up DC inside the 10-yard line, I think it was, or something like that, inside the 20. And DC went down, capitalized, scored a touchdown, made it 17-13. And that was that after that score. So, yeah, it was excellent performance by everyone involved on the DC side. Hate that we gave up 34 points, but didn't matter. Won by 24. Or I would have liked to see them go for 2 at the end there. The last score they had, they went for 1, didn't get it. I would have went for 2 to get a 60 burger on the board, but that's just me being selfish, probably. You know what, though? Jordan Ta'amu is bullshit that he didn't win the MVP of the league. Panthers quarterback Bryce Perkins did, and what do you know? The guy that won MVP did not win. 75% for Jordan Ta'amu. He was your UFL Championship MVP, though. 390 yards, 4 touchdowns, 8 carries, 28 yards, 1 touchdown, 5 total scores for Ta'amu, 418 total yards. Just ridiculous performance in a championship game. And, I tweeted this out right after the game, essentially saying, confirming my thoughts on the Thursday show. This team reminded me so much of the Philadelphia Eagles. Super Bowl 57. The Eagles lose close to the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 years later, they're back in Super Bowl 59. Absolute domination from the Philadelphia Eagles this past season, winning the Super Bowl. Same thing for the DC Defenders, right? I don't remember what the score was in the XFL Championship. I don't think that one was close. But 2023, right? They are in the XFL Championship game, lose to Arlington, come back 2 years later. They are here, UFL Championship, dominate this game here. Bryce Perkins, 60%, 338, 4 touchdowns, a pick. Running back Abram Smith led the game in rushing for DC, 10 carries, 63 yards. His teammate Deion Jackson, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Malik Turner, the wide receiver for Michigan, had a hell of a game in a loss. I mean, That's probably one of the best stat lines you'll ever see in a losing effort. 10 catches on 11 targets, 168 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's just ridiculous. Wide receiver Jaden Mickens for DC also over 100, caught 6 of his 9 targets, 132 yards, and a touchdown. COC Mariner had 10 targets for Michigan, caught 4 for 84 and a touchdown. Ty Scott, how about Ty Scott getting back for this game and making the most of it? Caught one of his 3 targets for a 73-yard touchdown reception after being injured for most of the season. Chris Rowland got the ball in the end zone on the ground, the versatile DC wide receiver there. Cornell Powell scored a touchdown on one of his 4 targets. Briley Moore, the tight end for DC, scored a touchdown on one of his 2 targets. And defensively, there weren't really a ton of stats. So I'm going to go with the guy that I tweeted out as being the best player on the field defensively, I thought, all game. It's probably more in the advanced statistics than it is on the stats I have here. But defensive end, Malik Fisher for DC, 1 tackle. It was a solo sack, tackle for loss. I'm sure the pressure rate and the pressure numbers were off the charts for Fisher in this one. He was a beast getting pressure on Bryce Perkins all night. Part of that DC defense standing up very well. And again, it was a wild turnaround, right? The last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, DC defense was getting roasted. 26 points per game allowed, over 300 yards, whatever it was. The playoffs, though, Blake Williams must have lit into these boys because they shut everything down in the playoffs. More so in the St. Louis game, but in this game as well, giving up 34 points, but got the stops when they needed to, got the turnovers when they needed to, and they made it happen. Got a lot of support from the offense as well. So excellent performance. It was a fantastic Saturday night. And one that I know I will remember for a long time. Just again, it's special. Your first championship is a lot more special. I watched the Eagles win a second one this year, and it just didn't feel the same as 52. But this one is awesome. DC deserved it. Shannon Harris deserved it. He deserves to be the head coach going forward, not just the interim, take the tag off. But yeah, DC masterclass performance. Blake Williams, Shannon Harris, Fred Keiss, the assistant coach of the year as well. I was very excited for this game, and they did not disappoint at all. UFL news. I forgot to say DC plus 3.5 wins out right over 52.5 by themselves. One award that we did not announce, the Sportsman of the Year award. So all 8 teams had a nominee for that. It's kind of like the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, but for the UFL Sportsman of the Year, it went to Battlehawks edge rusher Travis Feeney for his off-field work there. So congrats, Travis Feeney. And it's a combination, I believe, of off-field and on-field performance. And sportsmanship, as it kind of notes sportsman. NFL news, big time here. The former wide receiver Antonio Brown is being sought by authorities in connection with an attempted murder charge in Miami. So a shooting that happened that led to the death of an individual. And I mean, it just has continued to go downhill for Antonio Brown. So not much to say there. I mean, he has proven that he is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I mean, I don't have anything else. The Colts, they are going to induct late owner Jim Irsay into their Ring of Honor at halftime of the week, or I believe pregame of the week 1 game there. So, obviously much deserved there. Jim Irsay, probably the best owner in Colts history. Injuries, big issue in LA. Rams offensive tackle Alaric Jackson signed an extension this offseason. He is, for the second time in his career, dealing with blood clots in his legs. It is believed that he's going to play in 2025, be able to play, but it's still sort of up in the air. Hence the signing this week. The Rams signed Chiefs offensive tackle DJ Humphries, coming off his own injury last year, but it wasn't the greatest on and off the field in Kansas City, but hoping to get something going there in his new digs in LA. That's the news. That there was not a lot of news this weekend. Let's get into the Bears and the Vikings offseason recap here. Chicago losing running back Darrington Evans to the Bills. Wide receiver Keenan Allen is still a free agent. Wide receiver DeAndre Carter went to the Browns. Wide receiver Colin Johnson to the Raiders. Tight end Gerald Everett, tight end Mercedes Lewis, both free agents. Offensive tackle Larry Borum to the Dolphins. Guard Coleman Shelton to the Rams. Guard Tevin Jenkins to the Browns. Guard Matt Pryor to the Eagles. Defensive tackle DeMarcus Walker is a free agent. Edge rusher Darrell Taylor went to the Texans. Edge Jacob Martin to the Commanders. Linebacker Jack Sanborn to the Cowboys. And long snapper Patrick Scales is a free agent. Long snapper, I should say. But yeah. Free agency signings here. Quarterback Case Keenum. They got from the Texans. Running back Travis Homer re-signed. They got wide receiver Olamide Zaccheaus from the Commanders. Wide receiver Devin Duvernay from the Jags. Tight end Durham Smythe from the Dolphins. Guard Joe Thuney traded from the Chiefs. Guard Jonah Jackson traded from the Rams. Center Drew Dahlman in from the Falcons. Defense tackle Chris Williams re-signed. Defense tackle Grady Jarrett in from the Falcons. And edge rusher Deo Odeingbo from the Colts. So I definitely think they gained a lot more than they added, even though it was less players added than lost. I was kind of surprised. The Bears free agent class was one of the more sought after, I thought, in terms of just number of players added by other teams versus how many free agents are left. Keenan Allen is an interesting one. Not really surprised that he didn't re-sign given what they did in the offseason, but sort of at the same time. I don't really think they lost a ton. The Tevin Jenkins maybe. I do think the edge rushers was maybe something. Taylor and Martin there. Sanborn, I love Sanborn, former Wisconsin Badger. Hate that he's in Dallas now. But I really liked what the Bears did the offseason additions wise. Quantity over quality, or quality over quantity, I should say. The interior guys were paramount to get right. Thuney, Jackson, Dahlman had to shore up that interior for Caleb Williams. And then, of course, I mentioned they lost the two edge rushers. Deo Odeingbo had been a great player in his own right. Maybe not production sack-wise, but the pressures have been there. Grady Jarrett's a consummate pro, has been fantastic producer in this league for a while. So, I think that those two additions on the defensive side of the ball were also very solid players. Let's go to Chicago's draft here. Tight end Colston Loveland from Michigan, number 10 overall. Wide receiver Luther Burden, the third. Missouri, 39th. Three second rounders, by the way. Offensive tackle Ozzie Trapilo from Boston College, 56. Defensive tackle Shamar Turner, Texas A&M, 62nd. No third. Fourth round linebacker Ruben Hypolite, the second. Maryland, 132nd. Fifth round corner Zoff Frazier, UTSA, 169th. Sixth round guard Luke Newman, Michigan State, 195th. And seventh round running back Kyle Monangai, Rutgers, 233rd. So, the Bears draft was okay. Positionally, they filled most of my needs. They did not fill, however, my number one need, which was safety. I'm not okay with Kevin Byard. He is old. I think he's slowing down. They have some other guys. I mean, Elijah Hicks is a 22 seventh rounder. Jonathan Owens has been primarily a special teams player most of his career. So sure. I still don't like the safety position outside of Jaquan Brisker there for Chicago. So that kind of dings them a little bit for me. They did not draft an edge rusher, which was my fifth need as well. Those were the top two needs that did not get addressed for me. But again, they added Oda Ingbo. They got Montez Sweat last year in the trade, or 2 years ago, I should say. Austin Booker, a 24 fifth rounder, toolsy guy there going into year two. But I'm not liking most of the rest of the edge rush party here. Daniel Hardy, I don't know too much about him. Dominique Robinson, he's a 22 fifth rounder. Do like Jamari Chroma, but he was a little bit of a tweener tackle end. They do not need tackles. They are filled up with D tackles right now. So he's pushing out to end there. So yeah, I did not like that they did not get an edge rusher. But it was a pretty okay draft. I liked the first four picks. I liked the first two rounds, and I liked Kyle Monangai. The fourth through six rounders, I didn't really like a ton. Frazier was pretty solid. I thought it was way overdraft on Hypolite, and I didn't know too much about Newman there. So I think for Chicago, what I'm gonna go with here, I am going to go with a solid C plus. Um, it didn't fill my number one need. They didn't fill the edge rush, which I still don't like totally depth wise. So those were the biggest two issues. And then again, I didn't really like the day three picks other than Monangai. Yeah. To get to the Bears schedule here, home against the Vikings, Monday Night Football. What a way to start the season. At the Lions, home against the Cowboys, at the Raiders, early bye week 5, at the Commanders, Monday Night Football week 6. They host the Saints week 7, at the Ravens, at the Bengals week 8 and 9, home against the Giants, at the Vikings, home against the Steelers, at the Eagles on Black Friday, at the Packers, home against the Browns, home against the Packers, at the 49ers, Sunday Night Football, and then home against the Lions. That is a daunting schedule, I will say. The first two games, you got to win at least one. Starting 0-2 in the division would be very detrimental to Chicago's opportunities and chances to get to the playoffs, let alone, any further, win division and whatnot. So I think at the worst, Chicago has to go 1-1 in those first two games, and the first one is the one they need to win. They get JJ McCarthy in his first career start. I think that's the game that Chicago has to win to have a good start to their season, feel good. Then they go to Detroit, a lot tougher, a little bit tougher of opponent, offensively, maybe not defensively, but yeah, I think they definitely got to go at least 1-1 in those two first games. Then they get a little bit of reprieve with the Cowboys and the Raiders. Another tough one in this 3 out of 4 there on the road is rough. At Washington on a Monday, then they host the Saints on a short week, and then they got to go to Baltimore and to Cincinnati back-to-back weeks, and that's rough because you're going to get beat up by Baltimore and Derrick Henry, and then you got to go to the high-flying Bengals and Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. Like, what do you do? And then they got the Vikings in 2 weeks in Minnesota, and then it doesn't stop because you got 4 straight, really. Even I'll go. Their back end of the schedule, the back half of the schedule is ridiculous. Caleb Williams going to have to work a lot. The defenses at Vikings, home against the Steelers, at Eagles, at Packers, home against the Browns, home against the Packers, at the 49ers. Those defenses are going to be top. top third at the very worst, I think. So it's not going to be an easy season in Chicago, and they might be picking top 10 again. I don't know. All right, the Vikings offseason here. A lot of moving parts for Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Free agent losses. Quarterback Sam Darnold went to the Seahawks. Quarterback Nick Mullins to the Jags. Quarterback Daniel Jones to the Colts. Running back Cam Akers, free agent. Wide receiver Trent Sherfield to the Broncos. Wide receiver Brandon Powell's a free agent. Tight end Johnny Munt went to the Jags. Offensive tackle Cam Robinson went to the Texans. Offensive tackle David Quessenberry to the Rams. Guard Ed Ingram was traded to the Texans. Guard Dalton Reisner is a free agent, as is guard Dan Feeney. Defense tackle Jerry Tillery went to the Chiefs. Defense tackle Jonathan Bullard is a free agent. Edge rusher Patrick Jones II went to the Panthers. Edge Jihad Ward is a free agent, as is linebacker Kamu Grugier-Hill, corner Stephon Gilmore, corner Shaq Griffin, and corner Fabian Moreau. And safety Cam Bynum went to the Colts. So there were a ton of big names, big ticket free agents that the Vikings lost. Cam Bynum was one of them. I thought also, obviously the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks was the other big story there. With Minnesota's free agent losses, they did retain Rippon, but is a lot thinner QB room than it was last year. So I also not sure why they didn't re-sign Kamu Grugier-Hill. He's a core special teamer, and I don't know. I really like him from his time in Philadelphia. Won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. 52. Signings here: quarterback Brett Rippon re-signed. Quarterback Sam Howell traded from the Seahawks. Running back Aaron Jones re-signed. They traded for running back Jordan Mason. Wide receiver Rondale Moore got him from the Falcons. Wide receiver Tim Jones from the Jags. Guard Will Fries and center Ryan Kelly from the Colts. Re-signed defensive tackle Jalen Redmond. Defensive tackle Jonathan Allen they got from Washington. Linebacker Eric Wilson from the Packers. Re-signed corner Byron Murphy Jr. They got corner Isaiah Rodgers from the Eagles. Corner Jeff Okudah from the Texans. They re-signed safety Harrison Smith and punter Ryan Wright. I was okay with what Minnesota did. I really liked the offensive additions. Howell as a backup. Continue to develop him, compete him with Brett Rippon for the number 2 job. Really like this combo. Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. I traded for Jordan Mason in a couple of dynasty leagues on some advice from people. So I think he's going to be solid. Aaron Jones getting up there in age. We'll see how much more tread he has, but I like Jordan Mason, tough runner, limited tread on his tires. The Rondale Moore one's interesting. He's going to be one of a bunch of guys fighting for that number 3 job. Rondale Moore, the rookie Ty Felton, Tim Jones, Jalen Naylor. Can even add maybe Lucky Jackson, Thayer Thomas in there as well. Undrafted free agent Silas Bolden. Undrafted free agent Robert Lewis. So yeah, there's a bunch of guys. There's this third wide receiver position is available, I believe. I don't think Jalen Naylor is set in stone. So that's going to be an interesting battle. See what Rondale Moore can do coming off the major injury there. Love the Fries and Kelly edition. I think that's going to be a solid pairing inside. Allen, I think they paid a little bit too much for his age. I liked the Byron Murphy re-signing and the Rodgers and Okudah one. They're sure they're asking those guys to step up into roles that they're not really familiar. Okudah has been familiar with that, but I do think it's sort of a wash there in terms of quality lost, quality gained, or retained for Minnesota. Vikings draft. They did not have many picks. 5 in total. Guard Donovan Jackson, Ohio State, number 24 in the first round. No second rounder. Wide receiver Ty Felton in the third. Maryland, 102nd. No fourth rounder. 5th round, they went defense tackle Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, Georgia, 139th. 2/6 linebacker Kobe King, Penn State, 201st. And tight end Gavin Bartholomew, Pittsburgh, 202nd. No 7th rounder. The Vikings were one of the worst drafts in my mind. They did not fill my first or second need. They also did not fill my 5th need. So, secondary, no clue why they did not go secondary at all. The safety position, which was my 2nd need, is pretty solid. Josh Metellus is good. Harrison Smith obviously re-signed. He's up there in age now, though. They do have 23 4th rounder Jay Ward, who I guess they like. Theo Jackson is there. Michelle Powell, also undrafted out of Washington, Oregon. I don't remember. I know he played at Washington, but pretty thin at the safety position. I'm not so sure. The thinking there. Corner, I think was a grave misdraft. Not drafting one, at least one. Isaiah Rodgers, okay, love him from his Eagles days. He got burnt a ton as an Eagle when he started on the outside. So I am not confident at all. I know Brian Flores is an excellent coordinator, but this corner room, Jeff Okuda, Dwight McGlothern, who I liked last year as an undrafted guy out of Arkansas. Ambry Thomas has been in the league a little bit. Khalif Hayalasi. But it's razor thin. Their nickel room is actually very good. The top 2, Byron Murphy, Tavir Thomas. They also have Reddy Stewart. But I'm not sold on this secondary. It does not scream lockdown to me. The front should still be good. They're loaded at linebacker and pass rush, I think, still. But I'm not sure. They also added Javon Hargrave from the 49ers. So, yeah, I don't know. I do not like this secondary. I did like the Donovan Jackson drafting. They needed a guard to go opposite of Will Fries there. Blake Brendel knocked out of that spot. Tackle was also not addressed. Not so sure. It looks a little bit better now. Justin School added in free agency from the Bucks. Leroy Watson. They have 24 6th rounder Walter Rouse as well. They added Logan Brown, undrafted free agency out of Kansas. So I'm okay with it now. I still thought maybe getting a higher upside guy, especially Darrisaw coming off the injury. He looked pretty good though. But him and O'Neal, both a little bit older now. O'Neal was 2018 draft pick, Christian Darrisaw 2021. So O'Neal more so than Darrisaw on the getting older side. But did like my guy, Go Dogs, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, pretty solid player inside. Going to add to that interior pass rush. Good mover. And then linebacker, Kobe King. Again, one of my boys, Penn State. Linebacker U. I really do love their linebacker room there. But yeah, the Gavin Bartholomew one, I didn't really understand that pick. They just re-signed Josh Oliver. They had TJ Hawkinson. I guess they needed a third guy. But they did add some really solid players in undrafted free agency. Bryson Nesbitt out of North Carolina, Ben Urasek from Georgia. So I don't know. But yeah, in terms of Minnesota, not filling my first or second need, that has to ding them a ton. Although I do like Jackson, Ty Felton was okay as well. I have to give this Minnesota draft, and you got to also take into account number of picks as well. I'm gonna go with a D plus here for the Vikings. You know what? I'm gonna be a little bit nicer. I'm gonna go C minus. C minus sounds good in my head. All right, Vikes schedule here at the Bears Monday Night Football, like I mentioned. Then they Come home, host the Falcons. Sunday Night Football, home against the Bengals. At the Steelers in Dublin. They go at the Browns in London. So back-to-back, first team ever to do back-to-back international games, both as the road opponent, technically. Then they come back after 2 weeks abroad, week 6 bye, much needed. Oh, yeah, and then they host the Eagles, by the way. At the Chargers Thursday night, at the Lions, home against the Ravens, home against the Bears, at the Packers, at the Seahawks, home against the Commanders, at the Cowboys Sunday night, at the Giants, home against the Lions on Christmas, and home against the Packers. So just like the Bears, this whole NFC North schedule is wild. Playing the NFC East, playing the AFC North, in a cross division, AFC North, NFC East, and then they have the AFC West, NFC West, and NFC South as the other 3 cross division games. And it's not easy. That stretch, 4 out of 5 on the road, the back half of the schedule is going to be very taxing, especially because they're good teams. Packers, Seahawks, home against the Commanders. Maybe not so the Cowboys and the Giants, but it's not going to be an easy start either. The Bears, they got the Falcons, Bengals at the Steelers and Browns. 2 good defensive teams there in Dublin and London. Then they come home. They face the Super Bowl champs, the Eagles. Then they got to face Jim Harbaugh in LA. They got to go to Detroit and face Dan Campbell. Then they come home. Oh, yeah, what's waiting? The Ravens. You get the Bears again. Then they go on that 4 out of 5 on the road. Oh, yeah. And then they come home. Oh, yeah, we got the Lions Christmas Day. And then we host the Packers and end up, it just seems like it's a schedule that just keeps hitting and hitting and hitting and just won't stop. But we'll see how Minnesota's the wild card of wild cards in the NFC North. No one knows except the people in building what JJ McCarthy's going to be like. So we'll see. We'll see what we have record prediction wise. I know Jimmy's probably going to be a little high on him. That is the show for today. Next week, summer week 2, continue our offseason recaps, Cowboys, Chargers, getting close to finishing up those and starting our season previews once we get close to once we get into July there, training camp. So don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast, Instagram and X. FAApodcast.com is our website. Check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and TikTok at FAA.podcast and LinkedIn as well. And don't forget, Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Jaden Price, Arlington Renegades defensive back. He will be on the show talking to us about the UFL Championship, UFL season, how Arlington did, how he played, what is next for him, what are his NFL opportunities looking like, and such. So make sure you tune in on Thursday.